Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Maurice. And today I wanted to talk about one of the games that has really evolved my board gaming experience, and that's Marvel Champions. I've been playing this game since the pandemic. I was watching Dice Tower with Roy Kennedy when they were doing the top. I think it was the top 100 games, and his Marvel Champions catapulted up his list, within the first year of the game being there. And, the whole cast were going crazy because he put in a new game that high. I think it was in the 30s or the 20s for him. And I've been playing this game since 2020 and have caught up to all the heroes, all the villains, all the big box expansions. So it's been fun. But with this video, I just wanted to talk about my top five hero. All right, so here go the moment for my top five. So coming in at number five is one of the swingiest heroes in the game, and that's Star Lord. When he first came out, I know he was polarizing because people didn't like the idea of taking so many encounter cards to be able to be effective, but he also almost cheats the game if you're playing solo, where you can get rid of a villain in 2 to 3 turns. It's kind of ridiculous. But also with leadership, there's so many guardian cards out there, and with him having his leader of the guardians upgrade, where he gives all guardians under his control, or I guess under your control as a player, +1 thwart. That's a lot of thwarting if you have two allies out there. If they have one or two, that's a lot of thwarting you can do by yourself, especially if you use Daring Escape to ready yourself and take an encounter card, which can also set you up for a sliding shot that can do a ton of damage. I think the most I've done in one turn off of 2 sliding shots was about 22 damage, which, yeah, that's the end of the game right there for a lot of villains if you're playing them even on expert mode, right? So, yeah, he's just fun for me. He adds a little bit more excitement on the villain turn for me, which, if he's out there on the table, you have a higher chance of getting Shadows of the Past, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So he's right there, my number five. So number four, I have Rocket Raccoon. I love heroes that have a lot of weapons and tech. As you can see with both Black Panther and Venom being up there for me, Rocket fits that mold and he excels in aggression, which has become one of my favorite aspects. And he can do well in justice, considering he has the 2-1-1 stat line. He has the card where uh, he can thwart and then play it and then ready himself and get +1 thwart. That card can do so much thwarting in one turn, and it's just a one cost to boost up your thwart and to ready yourself. His guns are super fun whenever they get to the table. It just becomes a nightmare for the villain if you can get that rolling, right? So if you got minions that's on the table and you use his rocket launcher and overkill all of them, that's 3 cards, right? That's however many villains that you however many minions you overkill. That's how many cards you get to draw. So he can just get to the point where he's just steamrolling and drawing cards like it's nobody's business. And I think that that's so much fun because of it embodies Rocket Raccoon extremely well in terms of theme, that he gets excited while he's doing or while he's taking down enemies, right? So for him to be able to go through and just slam people with the amount of weapons that he can get out there, and he has that upgrade, the cybernetic skeleton, where he can boost up his HP by 3, because he starts off with 9, which is atrocious, right? That's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum with him and Hawkeye, and I think Nebula are the 3 that starts off with 9, and I think Black Widow. But that gives him that ability to stay up for more hits as well as increasing his attack. So, yeah, he just has a lot of tech at his disposal. I love having five, six upgrades out there and just going to town. So he fits that extremely well for me. So speaking of tech, my number three is Iron Man. He was my number one for a long time. When I first got the box, I didn't understand what tech upgrades to prioritize because he has a lot of them. You know, he has his two gauntlets, his two boots, his Mark V armor, the arc reactor, the helmet. Um, and if I'm missing one, I do apologize. But he has a lot of tech that he can put down, and it almost becomes its own mini game of trying to get him set up so that you can flip up and start doing damage. So you know he's not beating anybody on turn 1 or 2, but catch me on turn 10 and I'm going to town. But he's so fun to play. I still think that he struggles with leadership, but all the other aspects he does extremely well. And I think that you can make a leadership deck that just revolves around him. You know, just play more of a greedy build and just have him go to town. But we see with Technova, the Technova build where you can have Nova sitting out and then just stack your cards with lightning resources or energy resources, excuse me. He can just repulsor blast somebody to death, and while they're trying to attack him, you know, taking 2 damage on the way out. So I think that he's just so fun to play once he has his whole kit out on the table, and you were just repulsor blasting and supersonic punching. He just turns into a monster, and I love it. And he's scaling well with the game because of the new tech items that are starting to come out, where you have the plasma pistols in the basic. In Justice, there's the sonic rifle. So there's the hand cannons and aggression. I'm not sure that there's anything in particular to the hero, both in protection and leadership. So I'm excited to see what that looks like if that comes about. But he just gets better with the game. So I've loved playing Iron Man. He's fun. It takes him a second to get up and going, but once he's up and going, he's carrying the game, similar to Star-Lord. My number two. This is more of kind of a boring pick, but he fits whatever you needs him to fit, and that comes with, you know, kind of taking a responsibility in the game if you're playing multiplayer, you know, to own a section of the game until, you know, the person that you're playing with get to where they need to be effective. And Captain America can do that. So coming into number two, I have Captain America. You know, in his alter ego form, he has the discount on allies, so that allows him to be able to get some of those higher cost allies out early. He has a high damage event, attack event, and it comes with a stun if you get a physical resource with the heroic strike. You can find his shield right at the beginning, which gives him +1 defense and retaliate, and then his ability on the hero side, you know, where you can discard a card to ready yourself. That opens up so many opportunities, whether if you're attacking, defending, or thwarting, for you to be able to ready yourself and do something else. He has his shield toss where he can clear the board. My man has it all. You know, he can fit any role that you want him to. I've got a friend that I play with who loves the Hulk. So, you know, Captain America allows me to be able to kind of keep the game steady while he's getting himself ready to just turn up and kill the villain in 1 or 2 shots, right? So Captain America has a decent amount of damage in his kit. He can stun the villain. He has a lot of thwarting capabilities with his hero card, Sharon Carter. His ally, excuse me, with Sharon Carter, and the Fearless Determination, which allows him to increase his thwart and draw a card. So for me, he is a perfect cipher to whatever code that you're trying to break in the game. He has the answer. You just have to figure it out, right? He's not as broken as Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Strange is an amazing idea, but I think there's not a lot of villains that give him the challenge that he needs for him to be fun for me. But Captain America is good enough without having to dominate the whole spectrum of villains. So Captain America comes in at my number two. He's just fun. If you are more of a puzzle fanatic, he is the one that I think has one of the greatest ciphers to any uh, puzzle that you're trying to figure out. So he comes in at my number two. So my number one, my man Thor. 'Cause I know he's another polarizing figure. He has a terrible efficiency rate in the game. His cards are way too expensive for what they are. But what I love about him is once you flip up to hero form and you're getting minions, you can take advantage of seeking out the minions within the encounter deck and start building up your tempo from there, where he has enough HP to be able to withstand several attacks from both the villain and the minions, and he can dispose of them pretty quickly. So being able to get a minion on the villain phase and then on the hero phase get another minion for you to have a starting hand of eight, essentially, like that could be it spells nothing but trouble for the villain, especially if you can have Mjolnir down, Asgard down, his God of Thunder's down, with him generating resources for himself. At that point you really don't need Asgard for him to be effective, but it is one of those things where if you can get it down, it helps thins out his deck for you to just start hammer throwing him to death. If you are running um, aggression, you could just stack his deck with event cards, with moment of triumphs and relentless assault, excuse me, and follow through to get him as much uh, value out of those overkills as you can, with both healing yourself and with just dealing damage to the villain to rush him down. He's one of my favorites to play in multiplayer. I don't play him that often in solo because if I play quote unquote solo, I'm normally playing two handed. It's not often that I play true solo. So I don't have any thoughts on him in terms of just a solo specific player. But when it comes to having fun, which is what this list revolves around, Thor is up there for me. He's extremely enjoyable. So leave a like on the video and comment on who's your top five. I love to see what you all have going on. Because I know my list is probably completely different from y'all's. So I'm not a huge fan of the mystic characters with Adam Warlock, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch. I bought them. They came with some pretty good cards, but mostly they just sit there and rot for me. But I'm excited to see what you all have to say, and I hope you all have a blessed day.